my question is, why aren't we spending more time making sure that we're investing that time with the right people? Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sales Made Simple podcast. Your host, Joshua Gillow here, and alongside me is Jon Valenta from General Paving Stones. What's going on, John?
Hey, Joshua. It's great to be back, and I think we have lots to talk about. It's been a busy spring here with some good client interactions and experiences, and definitely a better process, following the guidelines in your book, The Core 10, that recently came out.
I appreciate that. And when you said good conversations with customers, I think I saw air quotes in the air, right? So I think we're going to unpack that here in this episode. So today, guys, I want to talk about managing all the sales opportunities that are coming through the door. I mean, even if you're not been in business very long, spring is usually a pretty busy time, across America, where the leaves are popping out and everyone starts looking outside and scratching their head, saying, what am I going to do out there this year? It needs to be, spruced up, or I want to do a whole project, or I want to enhance what I have, or whatever it might be. But the phones start ringing, and just 2-3 months ago, we're sitting here scratching our heads like, what are we going to do? Like we have nothing going on, or we have a couple of designs going on, and all of a sudden spring comes and everybody wants this yesterday. So how do we manage as an industry? How do we manage all of that demand all bottled up into a few months? Like that's what I want to get to today. So John, tell me how you're managing that right now. I know you've got a lot of leads coming, and we've got a lot of leads coming, and like, how are you managing it?
I'm managing it a lot differently than I used to. That's for sure. I used to be one of those guys, answer the phone, and the first question they ask is, can you come out and give me an estimate? And I would say, hell yeah. And I'd be smoking the tires on the way out of the driveway to go give them that free estimate, and typically ended up going nowhere. And now I'm slowing it down. I'm asking a lot more questions on the phone. Mm-hmm. I've had a few objections to my questions, but then I've had a few really great conversations, and even had a really good one yesterday where we ended up, misaligned on budget. But at the end of the conversation, he said to me, I understand now why you have so many good reviews online based on the questions you asked me and the conversation we just had. Yep. So didn't turn into a sale, but it also didn't turn into a trip out to meet with him and any work done on an estimate or anything. It was just some questions, dug deep into what he was looking to do, why, how it was going to work with his family and his, young kids, and that they didn't have enough room in the backyard to entertain and keep the kids, occupied and having a good time, on their time off. And it got to the point where he wouldn't give me a budget. So he's looking to add a patio and regrade his backyard. And I'm like, well, this is probably going to be at least $16,000. I don't think we've ever done a patio for less than $16,000. And he says, that's way more than I can spend on this. And that's how it ended. And we actually had a nice conversation based on everything all the information I gathered from him. And maybe it'll turn into something in the future. You never know. Mm-hmm.
So my question for you, John, is if this was a couple of years ago, how would you have handled it? You mentioned about turning and burning, right? Going right out. But how much time do you think you'd have invested in getting to that point of, I'm not spending $16,000, or I haven't justified that yet? Like, how would that work in the old system versus how much time you spent in the new system?
The old system could have been anywhere, 5-6 hours. I would have gone out there and I probably would have done a whole 3D design on his patio. Mm-hmm. And spent the time out there talking to him, probably not any other decision makers, because I didn't used to do that, and do a full written out proposal with a full 3D design and give it all to him to probably just get ghosted. And that probably would have been at least 2 trips, and the time in the office doing the design and estimate. And there goes 5-6 hours down the drain that I could have spent on a paying client or with my family.
And how do you do it now? How much time is my question? How much time did you spend figuring that out with him on the phone?
I think it was about 10 minutes. I didn't rush to it. It's not like, hello, this is General Paving Stones. What's your budget? You know,
You don't do that? Come on,
no,
John.
no, no. But, when we did get to the budget, it was just a complete misalignment where
Yep.
there was like nothing we could do for him at this time.
Yep.
So it probably took about 10 minutes.
That's amazing. That's exactly what I wrote the book for, because that's exactly what I discovered as well, is this idea that if they're not pre-qualified, specifically around budget, it takes a little bit of time to get there. We don't start out that way, right? We want to make sure that we can build some relationship and some rapport, and then we can finally build the trust to be able to talk about budget. But when we do that, we can do that on the phone, and we can get a better sense, because if they're at a $5,000 expectation and you're at $16,000 expectation, unless they bring their value up or you bring your scope down, there's no bridging that chasm, right? So let's get that out of the way on the phone. Why the heck would you drive out there to figure that out after everything else is done? That's something I had to manage with as well, is to get through that process of like, but this is how everybody else does it. What are they going to say to me? Are they going to yell at me? Are they going to be mad at me? Are they going to write me a bad review? None of that happens. Oh, you might get yelled at once in a while, but none of that happens. But think
Yeah.
about it. 6 hours to 10 minutes to the same result.
Yeah. I had a good one, just because I'm asking questions. And the one guy said to me, are you asking me a survey? Like he thought I was just like asking him questions for the heck of it. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I'm just trying to gather as much information so that I can decide if I can serve you or not. And I gave him the reference of the doctor. Like, you don't walk into the doctor's office and tell him what you want and he writes a prescription and you walk out. I said, no, he's going to ask you a lot of questions
Mm-hmm.
to find out really what's going on and what's wrong and what's the best way to help you. And I said, I'm doing the same thing. And if that
Yeah.
doesn't work for you, that's okay. We're not the right contractor for everyone. And if this doesn't work for you, then, maybe it's better off that you get someone else. And that's pretty much how it ended.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, that was probably less than 10 minutes and
Yeah.
on to the next.
Yeah, man, it's so important because, when it comes down to it, listeners, if you're not tracking your closing rate, if you're not actively looking at how many projects are signed divided by how many leads that you're actually running, if you're not doing that and then multiplying that by 100, right? But when you're not doing that, what's happening is you're just guessing and hoping, right? You're like, yeah, I close enough. But my question really is, how much time are you spending on things that aren't closing, on leads that aren't closing? And stuck in the way you've always done it before, where you drive out and you meet with them and you put a proposal together, even a sketch together, and you start really putting a stopwatch to how much time you spend doing that physically and the bandwidth that you do it not physically, like the mental stuff. Like, oh, I got to get that done. I got to get out there. I got to do this. I got to get that proposal together. I got to, like, all of that. You put that together in a little box with a bow on it. I bet you it's at least 2 to 4 hours, if not more, per unit, per lead. Well, my question is, why aren't we spending more time making sure that we're investing that time with the right people? That's the whole premise of the book, is like, why would we go out and just constantly keep giving people our free time and free ideas when at the end of the day, we're the ones that are losing? And you're not going to be able to do that long in business before you wake up one day and say, I can't keep doing this. I'm so stressed out. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't have time for my family. I don't have time for myself. I don't have time to go hunting. I don't have time to go fishing. I don't have time to do any of those things because I'm running ragged, because I was taught one way, which was phone rings, I run. Phone rings, I ask 3 questions, I run. None of them being budget, of course, right?
Yeah.
That,
Their
that's
name
usually
and
the big,
address.
exactly. What's your name and address? And do you have a checkbook handy? You know what I mean?
Yep,
And
I'll be
I
right
say that
there.
that used to be me. That's how I used to do these things, right? Until I realized there's a better way. I mean, just think about it. If you run, say, I don't know, 40 unqualified leads, and you get 9 jobs from that, right? That's a 22% closing rate, right? And like, okay, that sounds good. I got 9 jobs out of 40. But that means that 29 of them that you ran were for no reason. No reason. 29 in this scenario were just wasted time. Multiply that by 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it might be. There's where your time leak is. Business owners, salespeople, there's where your time leak is. There's where your life is going away. There's where stress and overwhelm is amplifying and multiplying right there. Think about it. If you had that same 9 projects that came through, but you got them from 15 qualified leads that you actually qualified on the phone ahead of time, that would put you from 22% closing to 60% closing. You would have kicked out 25 that just had no rights to your time. Think about that. I know it's the busy season. I know some of you guys are like, I need more work. I need more work. I can't say no to work. This is the time to build that steel, that galvanization of your systems. The time to sit back and say, you know what? I know that this works, because what you don't measure, you can't improve. And this is a way of measuring it. So it's not necessarily all the leads you get. It's how many you decide to run. And then how many projects did you sign from that? That's really the what we're solving for here. And once you know what your closing rate is, then you can say, all right, well, my closing rate, hypothetically, is 85%. Wow, okay, there's not a whole lot you need to do there. Probably the highest you're going to get is about 90 or 95. You're not going to get every single person. But if yours is 20, 30%, there's room for growth there. There's room for growth. And the first part of all of this is awareness. And that awareness comes from tracking those numbers, tracking your close rate. That's the first step. So John, what happened when you started to first track your close rate? Like what did you notice when you started tracking your close rate?
Way back, it was 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
And that's what my father always had. 1 out of 10. He told me, because he did mostly commercial work and that's all low bid. And he said, if we're getting 10%, we're doing great. So that's how I was brought up. And I thought that's the way it was, until it just really started wearing on me how much time I was spending with all these people that didn't give me a dime and didn't care how much time I was spending for nothing. They pretty much knew from the beginning they wouldn't be working with me, but hey, why not get this free 3D design? Why not get a whole full written out proposal? He's not charging me any money. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's free. And it just really, really started wearing on me, and how much time it was taken away from my family, and how I'd have to say no to going to one of the kids' games, or dinner at night, and no, I got to do this free estimate. I got to do this design. I got to go meet with these people on their terms, that in the evening and the weekend, because that's when they want me to come, and I better come, because this is just the way it is. And it finally just really, really got to me, and I was like, something's got to change, and started investing in sales training and developing a process. And what I found really is you got to just stick to your guns and stick to that process. Not everyone is going to like it, but you can't, every time that maybe we're a little low on work and I think, all right, I'll bend the rules this time. I'll give them I'll write up their free estimate, or I'll meet them in the evening, or I'll go meet just the one decision maker because the guy is at work, and it never turns out to anything. It's like, why did I do that? I just wasted the time again. Why? I just gotta stick to the rules and follow the process. And it weeds out the people that aren't going to work with you, so you can spend the time with the people that will work with you.
Yeah. Why do you think contractors, specifically in our industry, fall for that all the time? And I say fall for that because that was my first probably 10 or 12 years of business, was doing exactly this. But why do you think that they fall for this bill of goods, if you will? This is how it's always been. This is how it's got to be.
I think it's the lack of education and training. I think we have all these opportunities to learn how to install pavers and retaining walls and do everything properly. Manufacturers, there's industry organizations, there's so many guys out there, and there's so much information on the internet. Anyone can learn how to build pavers and retaining walls properly. But you can't build anything until you sell it. And there's very, very few other opportunities to learn how to sell. So people just they think like I did, like you did. This is just the way. We have to meet with 10 people to get one job, or maybe 2 or 3 if we're lucky. And we just have to take all this time away from our families and other important things to just run out there and just keep grinding and keep meeting with people after people until we finally get a job, because we really didn't know any other way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's very similar to what I remember doing that. It was very fear driven for me. I was afraid. I wouldn't admit it at the time, but I was afraid that, first of all, my biggest one was the FOMO, right? Fear of missing out on a job. Like, maybe they didn't tell me everything on the phone. Maybe I could just get out there and see, and I could just come to life, and they would like me more then, and then I could do something. So I was always looking to be liked, right? Looking for the validation side of things. Maybe that would be what it takes to get this project, because ultimately they don't want to sit on the phone. I didn't have the ability to ask good questions, to listen well. It was more of a performance, right? So I'd rather do the performance in front of them than on the phone. I wasn't comfortable with that. And then also deep down, one of the deepest fears that I had is rejection, right? So if I could manage that a bit more by going out to the site and meeting with them, looking them in the eye, like maybe there's a higher chance I won't have to feel this rejection that I know comes when I don't get the project. Right? It's this deep fear of ours. And I'm like, so I'll just go out and talk to them. Yeah, I might not still get the project, but at least I'll know I did everything. It must be them, not me, right? That must be what it is. And there's many times, dude, when I was desperate. I was desperate for work. And I'm like, I will do everything to take every obstacle out of the way so the client gets exactly what they wanted when they want it. So I can never blame myself for not getting that job. It has to be them, right? Because I need the work right now. And that's the part that a client can smell. Like a bear can smell sweet stuff when you camp out. You always have a bear bag up in the tree because it can smell food. Customers can smell desperation 22 miles away. When you're trying to oversell stuff, when you're not confident, but you're over talking, you're the one doing most of the talking. You're the one that's pitching them instead of listening to them. They can smell that. And that's another big reason why our industry has such a low closing rate. 25 to 30% is average. So all of those things together in the busiest time of the year with all these sales opportunities and us just trying to keep our head above water, keeping crews running, keeping clients happy, keeping monies flowing, keeping bills being paid, trying to balance home life and kids. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it doesn't have to be. When you start monitoring and you start tracking your close rate, you can see, is this a problem for us? Are we closing 75+% of our work that we're going out to? The projects that come through, the leads that come through, we're going out. Are we signing at least 75% of those projects? If the answer is no, there's work to be done. There's not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. There's just work to be done, things to streamline. Because once it's lined up like that, next thing you know, you're like, okay, now I get all that time back. Where am I going to invest it? My family, working on my business instead of in it. Am I going to take that vacation with my wife that I've been promising her forever? Am I going to be able to be home and keep my phone in another room because I can be with my kids? All of a sudden opportunities open up, but first we need to create the space for that. And that way we got to do that is by becoming more effective and efficient in how we communicate with our customers, knowing that we're investing the right amount of time with the right people, not just with everybody, because not everybody is a good customer. And we need to know that as fast as possible.
Yeah, and it's scary in the beginning, saying no to someone over the phone before you even go out there. What if that could have turned into a job and you don't know and you're scared, and that's what makes you want to just run out there. And going out there and showing them the paver brochures and showing them pictures of your work and thinking that that's going to win them over. If you could just show them all of your work that you've done, and they're going to love it and they're going to hire you, but they were never going to hire you from the start. And you could find that out without ever leaving your office. But it is scary. It's scary to say no, thinking people might give you a bad review or talk bad about you. This guy wouldn't come out. He wouldn't give me an estimate. Well, it doesn't say anywhere on my website or on my truck free estimates anymore.
Yeah.
We're not here to just run around and do that.
You took the heat gun out and knocked the free off.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's good. So listeners, if you find yourself running ragged right now, springtime, craziness, and you're like, man, I have no time for anything, start tracking those leads coming through. You get a lead in the door. You're like, okay, I'm going to assign that to a salesperson. Maybe you are the salesperson. Start tracking how many actually get signed from those leads. And if you find yourself in the industry average of 25 to 30%, or maybe a little bit more, maybe closer to 40, and you're like, wow, that's not too bad. That's true. It's not too bad. It's better than 1 in 10, but it could be a lot better. And what would you do with all that time? What would you do with all that extra time in your life if you could just be handed it right back and simplify how you do your entire process of communication, actually build better relationships with the customers you have? And they typically dig deeper in their pockets once you've built that relationship because they trust you more. So the question is, what would you do with all your time? Because at the end of the day, what we want to make sure of is that we're adding certainty and clarity as early in the relationship as possible. And to do that, we've got to lay out a process that we can follow each and every time. If your sales process is whatever you feel like in that moment, or, I'm just going to wing it. That's how I did it for years. I just wung it. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go out. I'm just going to show up with this award-winning personality. I'm going to talk to them. We're going to win a project or not. We're going to see. And there's so many times that didn't work. There's times that it did, but most of the time, a majority of the time, it did not. And I wasn't aware enough at the time that there wasn't even another way to do it. So I would say things like, yeah, I'll get to you by the end of next week. I'll get to you when I get there. I'm busy right now. It's springtime. I don't know. I'm not sure. And leaving the clients wide open, feeling lost. Like, this sounds like every other contractor. It wasn't until I realized that by adding more certainty language, framing it, my narrative, the way I communicate in a more certainty language, like, hey, look, today's Monday. I'll have something to you by Friday, end of day. Does that work for you? Got it. All right. And then deliver on Friday by end of day or earlier. Something
you
that's
deliver
simple.
it that Thursday afternoon, and they're really happy.
Exactly, because you've said something and you did it. That's the easiest way to build trust, John. You know that. Listeners, you know
Yes.
that too. You say something and you do it. But it's very difficult when you're trying to do 500 things and wear 61 different hats. And by the end of the day, you're burnt out. The question is, if you could get back a few hours a day, because you're not chasing leads that don't go anywhere anyway, would you have time to spend with the right clients that you can build that deeper relationship so you could really, truly help them and invest in them so they become big referral machines for your business? You didn't spend as much in marketing. You got happier customers. You get more reviews. Think about it, listeners. I'm not going to beat this horse up much more because you guys hear me talk about this all the time, but it's really think about how much you're closing, what your rate is. Be honest. If you're scared to do the work, then, well, you're going to be stuck here for a while. It's just like that monster under your bed, right? When you're a kid and you're thinking, there's a monster on my bed. I don't want to go under my bed. I don't know what it is. I'm afraid it's going to eat me. I'm afraid it's going to hurt me, this kind of thing. And then all of a sudden you come underneath, or you maybe an older brother or sister is there like, look, let me get my flashlight. I'll show you there's nothing there. And they take the flashlight, look under the bed, and you're like, nope, just cobwebs. Look, there's no monsters. You're like, oh, but I thought there was something there that was going to be bad. There's not. It's not there. It doesn't exist. Your mind is great at creating environments where you're going to lose or get eaten. But if you take that flashlight and you look under that bed, or in this case, you lay out you start tracking your closing rate, you finally have information. And when you have what you can measure, you can change, or you can correct or make better, you can improve. All those things happen based on when you're willing to face what's truly in front of you and look at it exactly the way it is, not worse than it is. And from there, that information will give you guidance. If you're already closing like a baller, you're good. Look for somewhere else in your business where you're pissing time away. But this is the number one place that contractors are wasting their time, and they don't even realize it. And I've made it my life's mission to make that a realization so they can spend more time. Listeners, you can spend more time with your families, doing what you truly love to do. Maybe it's hobbies, maybe it's working. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's raising strawberries. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But you get to be the one who chooses that. Because I know I got into business because I wanted to have an opportunity to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, for however long I want. And I know a lot of you did too, for that kind of freedom, that life freedom. And business can, at times, it can be shackles holding you down. It doesn't have to be that way. So much of it is time management. So, John, do you have anything else you want to say to that before we wrap up?
Yeah, as far as saving time and getting things figured out on the phone before you run out there, I've actually had good success with either having them send me pictures while we're on the phone. I'm like, yeah, text them over, or looking on Google Maps.
Yeah.
You can see street view if they're looking to do something in front of the house. You can look, satellite view, and sometimes you can get a pretty good idea what they're looking to do, and we know what the existing conditions are to get an idea what it's going to cost. Because even asking the budget, I probably get half the time people will say, I don't know, or I don't have a budget, or even the red flag, like, well, I'm just getting estimates. So then I'm trying to get an idea of what their budget is. So I try to get an idea what I think the project's going to cost. So if I can see it through pictures or through Google Maps, it'll really help. That way I can get that idea over the phone. And I even had a guy questioning me, how do you know? You didn't come out of here and measure. I'm like, well, we've just did 6 projects that look very similar to what you did, and that's what these cost.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to be around the same. And save the time of going out there.
No, I love that. And, you talk about pre-qualification. Listeners, if you're like, look, I don't want to ask a bunch of questions. I'm really busy. I don't know what to do next. Simply get your notepad up. This is going to help you a lot. Simply setting one space between when they reach out to you and when you have your call with them to ask them to send you pictures as a little bit of homework for them to do. Hey guys, no problem. I want to set up this call for, today's Friday. I want to set this call up for next Tuesday. If it works, I have 2 times here. Do any of those work for you? In the meantime, can you please send me 3 to 5 pictures of this space? So when we get on the call, I have a really good idea of what we're looking at so I can guide you best and see if this is going to be a good fit for us both. Most people will do that. And if they don't, before the call, hey guys, text them, email them, whatever your chosen method of communication is. Hey guys, look, our call's in an hour. I need those pictures so I can make sure I can survey at the highest level. Can you get those over to me? And that's a qualifier right there. Or you say, we're going to have to reschedule the call. Like you can say that, listeners. You can say that to a customer. And if they're not willing to go out and snap 3 pictures or 5 pictures on their phone of their space and send them to you before the call to serve them at a higher level and to give you what you need, maybe that's already showing you what kind of people they are when it comes to whether they're that interested in the project or not, or whether they just want a free dog and pony show, right? So that little extra step could save you an insane amount of time, because trust me, people that really want to work with you, they're going to send you pictures. As long as you keep it simple, you don't have them filling out like a 78-page questionnaire for pulling weeds around their house. There's a high probability they're going to send it to you. And then if they're already bought in that way and say, oh, I already sent them pictures, I know it's going to help me out. And then on the phone, you can look at it and say, yeah, well, that project like that typically runs between $12,000 and $15,000. Is that a budget that you're looking to work in? Or is that an investment range you're willing to work in? And then let them see what they say. Or you obviously ask them for their budget first. But still, my point is, you'll have information to work with. If not, and you don't have that information, you're completely guessing. And I did it for years, and I was wrong almost every time, because assumption kills everything. And that's where I got stuck a lot. I was like, yeah, it's a deck, it's a patio, it's a this. They're always about this much, this much, this much. And I get there and the thing's on a 45-degree mountainside and it's going to cost that much just to get the site ready. I didn't know that. How would I know that? And I get myself in trouble. So a couple of pictures really goes a long way to helping you guide your customer. Because remember, we're trusted advisors here. We're guides. And then we need to have information, evidence to be able to guide our customers. So John, thanks for coming on, guys. If you're out there struggling right now, with just been over inundated with leads, you don't know how to manage them. They're just becoming crazy. You can't get back to them. You promise people things. You're like, I've got a stack of estimates 20 deep that I can't even get back to people that I promised by Friday because it's springtime and they should just know it. They don't know that. And you're losing the opportunities to serve those clients because of what you told them and what you're not delivering. So if that is you, grab a copy of the book on Amazon. There's also in there as an Audible if you'd like to listen, and it'll help you guide and create a qualification process for you. Because our goal is to always line up what the customer's expectations are and be able to deliver on them. When we do that, find out what they are, deliver on them, we can make the entire process better for everybody. It's all outlined in the book. And John, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing, and I look forward to the next episode. Guys, we'll see you soon.